Welcome to the L3 Apex Lounge. I'm Wann.
And I'm Dr. Simonsen. This is where real talk meets peak performance.
Now, today's topic, I'm actually going to let Jakob introduce this for you.
Thanks. We did cover it very briefly in the first episode. Man boobs. Shh. So, yeah, man boobs. A lot of men around the world, particularly in the last 5 years or so, are sort of feeling the effects of the environment and what we're eating, what we're drinking, and generally what we're doing and what we're surrounded with. We did cover "it's not your fault," which were key words to take away from that first episode. So Leanne, explain a bit more what we mean by that.
Well, absolutely. And I just want to hit on that. It's not your fault. We work with a lot of clients. And I think there's a blame that you're not doing something right, or you're doing something too much, or you're too stressed, too busy, whatever it is. It's not your fault. It's something that we talk about a lot. Is today's environment is so different to where we've come from, that the framework, the solutions must change. I hear from my clients all the time, and I think you do too. What you used to do is no longer working. Right? You go, well, I used to do this and I used to do that and it was fine and I didn't look like this and those sorts of things. And it's not your fault. It's the environment.
You're talking about things like training, dieting, all that sort of stuff, right?
Yeah. Absolutely. The normal, I'm a trainer first and foremost. I come from years and years of training. So if I believe that training was the best solution, I'm not afraid to tell people to get out there and train. And that's not it. And in fact, talking about breast tissue in men today, that would be my number one thing not to do. Don't go and bench press more. And in fact, this is why the bench press might be causing more harm than good, but we'll get to that in a minute.
Yeah, indeed. So look, we're going to address 3 key factors that can actually turn around the breast tissue issue.
Yes, but first, really when we're looking at it, it's coming from a lot of upregulation of an enzyme in the body called aromatase. And what this is doing in men is actually converting your testosterone, your male hormone, and what it's doing is it's bringing it into estrogenic levels. So it's feminizing the male body, hence we're getting the breast tissue. And as a guy, that's got to be pretty debilitating. I know my clients, when they do sit down and talk about it, it's something that's causing them a lack of confidence. They haven't got that aggression or that drive in business because they're not feeling the way that they should.
That's right. And often it's a mistake where guys sort of go and do things like going to the gym or starting to pump up their pecs, and they see a growth in the pecs. But often it's not actually muscle that's growing. It's actually something completely different. So that's something that you've covered before as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And training. And I think this is a really good point. One of the mainstream or common solutions to carrying extra breast tissue in men is, oh my gosh, it's getting flabby. I must go train. Yeah. I need to go and do some benching at the gym. No way. That will only make it worse, because when we're working with clients and looking at the 25 years, 30 years we've had to work on these sorts of things, you identify the problem. And if you do that to a level and a degree that we've been doing, it allows us to find the solution much quicker, and then the result is much more effective as well, because you're targeting the cause. If the cause is testosterone being converted to estrogen, when you go to the gym, your body produces more testosterone. Right. So if you're converting it to estrogen, a female hormone, going to the gym is simply going to produce more for you to convert it. So it'll actually worsen your problem.
Okay, so what is the solution? If we're starting with 3 solutions today and 3 things we can take away from this video. Number 1.
The quickest, easiest is to use a zinc supplement, a very good form of zinc. Why this works is because zinc helps block the enzyme aromatase. So often we find in people with breast tissue, men with breast tissue, they have high levels of zinc deficiency, or, you understand what I mean. Low levels of zinc. Because you have a look, zinc is depleted through Wi-Fi, stress, mobile phones, alcohol, just to name a few things. So there's not many of us living in this environment that are not zinc deficient. And in fact, This is really interesting. Having worked with elite athletes and national sports teams most of my life, I always found whenever they traveled to the UK, this is I don't know why, it's really interesting. I'd love to hear from anybody if they have any input into this. whenever they travelled to the UK or originated from the UK, the level of breast tissue was always far greater.
Yeah, and that's a measured fact, isn't
Absolutely.
it? So through hundreds of test
Thousands
cases.
and thousands of measures. When you're looking at breast tissue, we would see the increase. And when you've done this for so long, you get to collect this data. And it's really fascinating. I was guessing the water supply, there's often a lot of chemicals, a lot of medications, a lot of estrogenic compounds in the drinking water.
Less vitamin D, maybe, the sun.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's something that we always found.
Right.
And that was really interesting. But number one is zinc.
Yep, and a good form of zinc is what you're saying.
Yes, absolutely.
Yep.
So just be mindful when you are out there taking products. Have a look at what is in them. Read the ingredients list, because not every company has your best interests at heart.
Sure.
You know, and to be fair, that's one of the reasons we produced a zinc supplement
it is,
for this very purpose, because that's one of the big issues to address. Another really quick, easy, effective solution is if you are going to train, and many men at that high performance level, and I know you do too, you do a lot of driving and you do a lot of that for mental management and capacity.
Absolutely. Yep.
If you're going to train short, sharp and hard, get in, get out.
Absolutely. It's the way we like it too, because most of us are actually time poor, and particularly when you're living a life that's very high stress and extremely high delivery of whatever it is that you do, whatever industry you're in, time is the enemy for us. So when I do something, I need it to be short, sharp and hard, very quick, in, out, get a result. So I guess what you're saying is this does it, right?
Totally, and that's conducive to it continuing on. You're more likely to continue a behavior or a habit that you can fit into your schedule. You don't spend an hour, don't even spend half an hour. You could elicit this positive response 6 minutes, 8 minutes of doing some interval training. And if you throw in, let's say, an 8-12 ratio where you hard work for 8 seconds, 12 seconds, dial it down, 8 seconds, and you repeat that ratio, that actually will elicit a really positive response in stripping fat off the stomach as well. But the shorter, harder work tends to have a positive influence on that aromatase, and it will inhibit that activity.
So you just touched on something really key for me as well, which is your daily habits. So when you first wake up right through to when you go back to bed, there are a whole lot of little things that are key factors to maintaining your health and then increasing your performance. The first thing that you do when you get out of bed, what is it? You might put underarm on, you might spray yourself full of some smellies, you might wash your hair with, so if you've got some, with shampoo or whatever it is. Now, be really, really, really careful with that stuff, because all of the chemicals that are in those products will leach straight into your skin. Your skin is your biggest organ. I hate to tell you guys, but your biggest organ is your skin. But that is absolutely where you will absorb the most into your body. So once you've ingested all of that stuff in the morning, if you're doing those routines with products that are not actually pure or good for you, that's actually the beginning of the problem. And
they're very estrogenic. These chemicals, then what we call xenoestrogens, they come into your system and they start messing up that whole testosterone, estrogen. Are you getting more chemicals? And we're not saying don't go alternative and hippie, don't throw everything out. Just take stock and have a look at what you do in the morning, because that's a really important time, and we're going to touch on that in another podcast, what you do to set yourself up. The first 30 minutes is profound. However, deodorant. Do you care what you use? Go and try some coconut oil. Go and get something from the health food store. You might like a particular aftershave. Fine, keep it. Go and do something else that might just take that toxic load off the body and reduce the level of estrogens coming in. So number one, you want some zinc to help block that aromatase. Number two, you want to train to rebalance that and to help manage that enzyme activity. Right. And then number three, the environmental, you want to try and lower down what is coming into your system. There are some stuff you can't control. The pollution coming in, the environmental factors when you go outside the
Wi-Fi,
door, all of that stuff. So it's not turning your life upside down. The first port of call is just start being aware and looking at, we have a problem, we have breast tissue, training more, eating less, doing all of that. That's not going to elicit the response that you want. So don't beat yourself up trying to do that.
That's right. There are those key factors. The last one is actually, and I'll just touch on this before we go, is all of the daily routines that you do. Like I used to chew a lot of chewing gum, and I've realized there's a lot of aspartame and phenylalanine and all that sort of stuff in that. Brushing your teeth. where you end up with a lot of toxins within some of the toothpaste brands out there. So just be very mindful of that. Now, if you've ever jumped online and had a look at any podcasts or any sort of health podcasts or anything, you'll be aware of a lot of those things. So that for me was a big turnaround as well, many years ago, because clearly a lot of the products that are on sale are not really there for your benefit. They're there for the benefit of making money and selling a lot of product. So that's something that I'm very, very conscious of within the scientific community. Look at what's in the product. And we can start making a blacklist of things that you could look at and go, well, if it's got X, Y, Z, try to avoid it. If it's got these things, they're kind of good.
I mean, realistically, if it's got a long list, avoid it. And all we're really saying is, if you're going to use something like that, make damn sure you love it, because there's a price you pay for it.
That's right. Absolutely. Look, I think that's it. We'll wrap it up with the 3 things again. Let's just recap on those 3 things.
So really look at a good quality zinc. And you can always contact us through this page or through our website if you want to talk about brands available to you, if you want to talk about the brand that we've created, l3.co.nz. Look at your training protocols. Drop it right back. Drop it right back. Try 6 minutes, 8 minutes of something really intense to elicit a great result in the body. And that kicks in the endorphins, something amazing as well. And then number 3, as Jakob was saying, look at the environment. Women do this all the time. Men maybe not so much. The products you're using and putting on your biggest organ, which is your skin. Look at that and just start considering, what are your must-haves and what are ones you don't really care about? Do you want to pay a price for something you don't really care about?
That's exactly right. All right. Great to have you here. We'll catch up with you next time on the L3 Apex Lounge.